The gavel banged, and with that sound, my life as I knew it ended. Based on the medical evidence presented, including the testimony of Dr. Aris, and the specialized neurological reports, the judge intoned, his voice echoing in the sterile courtroom, I declare Mrs. Evelyn Stone mentally incompetent to manage her affairs. Conservatorship of the Stone Tech estate, valued at $400 million, is hereby granted to her daughter, Jessica Stone, and her son-in-law, Dr. Marcus Aris. I sat frozen in my chair. I wanted to scream, to stand up and tell them that I was the woman who had written the code for the country's banking infrastructure in the 90s. That I had built Stone Tech from a garage startup into a global empire alongside my late husband, Arthur. That I wasn't senile, I was being gaslit. But I couldn't scream. My tongue felt heavy, swollen in my mouth. My thoughts were swimming through molasses. The pills Marcus had been giving me, for my anxiety, made sure of that. "Mom," Jessica whispered, leaning over to hug me. She smelled of expensive perfume and betrayal. "It is for the best. You will be safe now." I looked at her. My beautiful, ambitious Jessica. She had Arthur's eyes, but none of his soul. Beside her, Marcus smoothed his tie, a smirk playing on his lips. He had won. The failed surgeon, who had married into money, had finally secured the bag. "We will take care of everything, Evelyn," Marcus said, patting my hand with a condescension that made my skin crawl. "We have already arranged for you to move to the quiet property. The lake house." The lake house. It wasn't a house. It was a shack. Arthur had bought it 20 years ago, as a joke, a digital detox zone, in the middle of nowhere, hours from the city. No internet. No cell service. Just a rotting wooden cabin, where he used to go to fish and think. They were exiling me. You can't," I slurred, fighting the drug-induced haze. "Shoo," Jessica soothed. "Don't struggle, Mom. It just makes the episodes worse." Within 24 hours, I was stripped of my dignity. I was escorted out of my penthouse by security guards I had hired. My phone was taken. Screens overstimulate her, Marcus had told the judge. My clothes, my jewelry, my life, all gone. I was driven 4 hours north, in a black SUV. The driver, a man I didn't recognize, dumped my 2 suitcases on the porch of the shack and drove away without a word. Silence. Absolute, terrifying silence. I stood there, shivering in the autumn chill. The cabin looked worse than I remembered. The wood was gray and splintered. The windows were grime-streaked. It looked like a place where things went to die. I dragged my suitcases inside. The air smelled of dust and pine needles. There was a small kitchen with a rusted stove, a single bedroom with a lumpy mattress, and a main room dominated by a stone fireplace. "Arthur," I whispered to the empty room. "What have they done to us?" For the first 3 days, I went through withdrawal. Not from alcohol or drugs, but from the specific cocktail of sedatives Marcus had been feeding me. I shook. I vomited. I hallucinated that Jessica was standing in the corner, laughing at me. But by the 4th day, the fog began to lift. My hands stopped trembling. My thoughts, once scattered like leaves in a storm, began to sharpen. I realized with a jolt of cold fury that my dementia was wearing off. It wasn't a disease. It was a chemical leash. On the 5th day, I got angry. I started to clean. I scrubbed the floors until my knees bled. I tore down the dusty curtains. And then, I turned my attention to the basement. Arthur had always kept the basement locked. My man cave, he used to call it. No girls allowed, Evie. Not even the CEO. I found the key hidden in a hollowed-out book on the mantel, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Typical Arthur. I unlocked the heavy steel door. It creaked open, revealing a flight of stairs that didn't look like they belonged in a shack. They were metal. Industrial grade. I descended into the darkness. I fumbled for a light switch. Click. The room that flooded with light wasn't a damp cellar. It was a server room. Banks of black towers hummed, with a low, steady vibration. Blue LED lights blinked in rhythmic patterns. The air was cool, climate-controlled. In the center of the room sat a single desk, with a massive, curved monitor, and a keyboard that looked like it belonged on a spaceship. I approached it slowly. This wasn't just a computer. This was a fortress. I sat in the ergonomic chair. It groaned under my weight. I touched the spacebar. The screen flared to life. Authentication required. Voice recognition active. Voice recognition? I whispered. Arthur had died 3 years ago. This technology looked brand new. Identify, a synthetic voice requested. Evelyn Stone, I said automatically. Access denied. My heart sank. Of course. Arthur would have coded it to his voice. Arthur Stone, I tried, mimicking his deep baritone. Access denied. I sat back, frustration tears pricking my eyes. Arthur, you stubborn old goat, I muttered. What is the password? Is it password? Is it 1 2 3 4 5? Then I remembered. The night he died. He had been delirious, in the hospital bed, holding my hand. He kept saying the same phrase, over and over, something I thought was nonsense, from the fever. The ghost in the machine loves the queen of code. It was cheesy. It was Arthur. I cleared my throat. The ghost in the machine loves the queen of code. The screen flashed green. Voice match confirmed. Secondary admin Evelyn Stone. Welcome home, Evie. Initiating protocol, dead man's switch. A video window popped up. And there he was. Arthur. He was sitting in this very chair, wearing his favorite ratty hoodie. He looked tired. Pale. This must have been recorded, weeks before he died. Hey, Evie, the video Arthur said. His voice broke my heart, all over again. If you are seeing this, I am dead. And if you are seeing this, it means the failsafe triggered, because someone logged in, from the shack. Which probably means you have been forced, out of the company. He leaned into the camera. I didn't die of a heart attack, Evie. I know the coroner's report said cardiac arrest. But I was murdered. I gasped, my hand flying to my mouth. It was Marcus, Arthur continued. I found him transferring funds from the R&D budget to offshore accounts. He is not just a bad doctor, Evie. He is a gambler. He owes millions to people you don't want to know. When I confronted him, he injected me with something. Potassium chloride, I think. Hard to trace. Tears streamed down my face. My husband. My brilliant, gentle Arthur. I know you. You are going to want to call the police. Don't. Not yet. Marcus has covered his tracks. He has Jessica convinced it was natural causes. Or maybe, Arthur looked down, pain etching his features. Maybe she knows. I hope not. But we have to assume the worst. Here is the situation. Stone Tech, the company you and I built? It is gone. Or at least, the valuable part is. Before I died, I initiated a slow burn migration. I moved the source code, the patents, the crypto reserves, everything that actually matters, onto this server farm. The company Marcus and Jessica just stole? It is a shell. It is a hollowed-out pumpkin. Arthur grinned, that mischievous spark returning to his eyes. But here is the kicker. The company they have runs on a cloud architecture that I control from here. It is a lease. And the lease expires, well, right about now. Unless the admin code is entered from this terminal, the entire Stone Tech global network goes dark in exactly, he checked his watch, 48 hours. Evie, you have a choice. You can let it burn. They lose everything. The stock tanks to zero. They go to jail for negligence. Or, you can take it back. There is a file on the desktop, called the smoking gun. It contains the audio recordings of Marcus planning my heart attack. It contains the bank transfers. It contains everything. I love you, Queen of Code. Give them hell. The video froze on his smiling face. I sat in the silence of the humming basement, the revelation washing over me. They hadn't just stolen my company. They had killed the love of my life. Marcus had stopped his heart. And Jessica, my daughter, she was sleeping next to a murderer. I looked at the file named The Smoking Gun. I clicked it. Audio files. Hundreds of them. Arthur had bugged the house. I clicked on one, dated 3 years ago. Marcus's voice, he knows, Jess. He found the Cayman accounts. Jessica's voice, so fix it, Marcus. We can't lose the lifestyle. I am not going back to flying commercial. Marcus, there is only one way to fix it. He has a heart condition, right? Who questions a heart attack at 65? Jessica, just make sure Mom doesn't see anything. She is smart. She will ask questions. Marcus, I will handle Evelyn. A little chemical cocktail. She will be too confused to ask anything. I ripped the headphones off, bile rising in my throat. She knew. She knew. My daughter had helped murder her father. And then she had helped poison her mother. All for money. All for private jets and galas. I stood up. I paced the small room. The trembling in my hands was gone, replaced by a vibration of pure, unadulterated rage. I looked at the countdown timer on the screen. System shut down in 41 hours, 12 minutes. They had stolen my life. They had stolen my husband. And they thought they had discarded me in a shack to rot. They forgot who I was. I wasn't just a COS wife. I wasn't just a mentally incompetent, old woman. I was Evelyn Stone. I wrote the kernel code for the operating system their phones ran on. I knew the digital skeleton of Stone Tech better than I knew the back of my own hand. I sat back down at the terminal. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. It felt good. It felt like a weapon. "Okay, Arthur," I whispered. "Let's play." I spent the next 20 hours coding. I built a backdoor into the Stone Tech mainframe, using the credentials Arthur had left me. I accessed the internal calendars. There it was. Event, Stone Tech IPO launch. Date, tomorrow. Location, the Grand Ballroom, NYC. Hosts, Jessica Stone and Marcus Aris. They were taking the company public. They were going to sell off the shell for billions, cash out, and disappear before anyone realized the tech was worthless. It was the perfect stage. I hacked into the venue's AV system. It was child's play. They were using a vendor with default passwords. Admin 123. Pathetic. I preloaded a presentation. Not the one they had prepared, with their flashy graphs and buzzwords. My presentation. Then, I accessed the bank accounts. Not the company accounts. Arthur was right, those were being drained. I accessed Marcus's personal, offshore accounts. The ones he thought were untraceable. I transferred every single cent. Not to me. To a charity for heart disease research, in Arthur's name. $45 million. Gone in a keystroke. Then I accessed Jessica's accounts. Her trust fund. Her savings. Her rainy day crypto wallet. Gone. Transferred to a legal defense fund for victims of elder abuse. I left them with exactly $100 each. Enough for a cab ride to the police station. But I wasn't done. I needed to be there. I needed to see their faces when the tower crumbled. I looked at myself in the reflection of the monitor. Gray hair, no makeup, wearing a stained cardigan. I looked like the crazy old woman they said I was. "Perfect," I said. I found Arthur's old truck in the shed. It hadn't been driven in years, but Arthur took care of his machines. I turned the key. It sputtered, coughed, and roared to life. I drove 4 hours back to the city. I didn't go to the penthouse. I went to the venue. I used my old badge, which I had kept sewn into the lining of my coat for years, a habit from the startup days, to slip into the service entrance. The ballroom was packed. Investors, press, tech moguls. Champagne flowed. I hid behind the heavy velvet curtains, stage left. I watched. Jessica looked radiant, in a gold dress. Marcus looked smug in a tuxedo. "Ladies and gentlemen," Marcus boomed into the microphone. "Welcome to the future of Stone Tech. Today, we launch not just a stock, but a legacy." The crowd applauded. "My wife, Jessica Stone, the new CEO, has led us into a new era of innovation," Marcus continued. Jessica stepped up to the mic. "Thank you. My father founded this company, but his vision was limited. We have expanded. We have evolved. Limited." She called Arthur Limited. I pulled out the tablet I had synced to the Shack server. "Evolution is painful, darling," I whispered. I pressed enter. The massive LED screen behind Jessica flickered. The logo of Stone Tech, a sleek, silver mountain, glitched. It distorted, tearing apart into digital noise. The crowd murmured. Jessica glanced back, confused. "Technical difficulties," she laughed nervously. "Seems our innovation is too much for the projector." Marcus signaled frantically to the sound booth. But the sound guys were helpless. I had locked them out of their own system 5 minutes ago. The screen went black. Then, a single line of text appeared, in bright, terminal green. "System override, E.Stone." A hush fell over the room. Jessica froze. She stared at the name. E.Stone. Then, audio began to play, over the massive concert speakers. It wasn't the polished corporate music they expected. It was crackly, intimate audio. Marcus's voice, a little chemical cocktail. "She will be too confused to ask anything." Jessica's voice, "Just make sure Mom doesn't see anything. She is smart." The crowd gasped. It was a collective intake of breath that sucked the air out of the room. Jessica dropped her microphone. It hit the floor with a deafening thud. The screen changed. It was now displaying a video. The video Arthur had recorded. "If you are seeing this," Giant Arthur said to the room of 3,000 people, "I am dead. And I was murdered by the 2 people standing on that stage." Marcus lunged for the laptop on the podium, trying to shut it down. But it was useless. The feed was coming from the basement of a shack 4 hours away. "They poisoned me," Arthur's voice boomed, echoing like the voice of God. "And they are currently poisoning my wife, Evelyn, to steal what is left." Cameras flashed blindingly. Reporters were screaming questions. The investors were frantically typing, on their phones, dumping the stock, before it even launched. I stepped out from behind the curtain. I walked onto the stage. I was wearing my dirty cardigan. My hair was wild. I looked like a ghost. Jessica saw me first. Her face went ashen, losing all its golden radiance. She looked like a child caught, standing over a broken vase. "Mom?" she whispered. But the microphone picked it up. "Hello, Jessica," I said. My voice wasn't amplified, but in the stunned silence of the room, it carried. Marcus turned on me. "You," he hissed, his eyes wild. "How did you are supposed to be crazy." "I was never crazy, Marcus," I said, walking to the center of the stage. "I was just rebooting." I looked out at the audience. I saw shock. I saw horror. But I also saw recognition. "My name is Evelyn Stone," I said, projecting my voice. "And I am the CEO of Stone Tech." "She is senile," Marcus shouted, trying to regain control. "She has escaped from her care facility." "Security. Get this woman off the stage." 2 security guards hesitated. They looked at me. They looked at the video of Arthur, still playing behind me. "I wouldn't do that," I said calmly. "Because right now, the FBI is receiving a data packet containing the toxicology reports Arthur hid. They are receiving the wire transfer records, where Marcus Aris stole $12 million from this company. And they are receiving the video of Jessica Stone, discussing the dosage of arsenic required to stop a human heart. Sirens. Faint at first, then louder. Approaching the building. Jessica collapsed to her knees. She grabbed the hem of my cardigan. "Mom, please." "Mom, I didn't mean it. He made me. Marcus made me do it." I looked down at her. I didn't feel anger anymore. I felt a cold, distant pity. "He made you poison your father?" I asked. "He made you declare me incompetent? Or did you just want the money, Jessica?" She sobbed, mascara running down her face. "I am sorry. I am sorry." "Sorry is a bug report," I said coldly. "Justice is a patch." The doors to the ballroom burst open. FBI agents in tactical gear swarmed the room. Marcus Aris. Jessica Stone. Hands in the air. Marcus tried to run. He actually tried to jump off the stage, into the crowd. But the crowd wasn't having it. They shoved him back. An agent tackled him before he could stand up. As they cuffed Jessica, she looked at me one last time. "Mom. Do something. You can't let them take me." I leaned into the microphone, one last time. "My daughter," I said to the world, "is experiencing a fatal system error. Please reboot." They dragged them away. The room was chaotic. But I stood still. I looked at the screen behind me. Arthur's video had ended. It was just a still image of him, smiling. I turned to the confused, terrified investors. "Stone Tech is dead," I announced. "The assets have been stripped. The IP has been secured. The stock you are holding is worthless." Pandemonium. People screaming. However, I continued, raising a hand. "The real technology, the source code, the patents, the future, is safe. And it belongs to me." I pulled the tablet out. "I am dissolving Stone Tech immediately. I am forming a new entity. Phoenix Systems." And I looked at the employees, gathered in the back, the engineers and coders, who had looked terrified for their jobs. "This company will be 100% employee-owned. I am gifting the shares to the people who actually built it. Not the suits. The builders." A cheer erupted from the back of the room. It started small, then grew. "As for me," I said, "I am retiring. For real this time." The trial was swift. The evidence Arthur had gathered, combined with the data I mined from the servers, was insurmountable. Marcus got life without parole. He tried to cut a deal, offering to give up his gambling ring contacts, but the DA wasn't interested. He wanted the headline. Jessica got 25 years. She writes me letters from prison. She asks for money for the commissary. She asks if I have kept her designer clothes safe. I burned the letters unopened in the fireplace of the shack. I didn't move back to the penthouse. I sold it. I sold the cars. I sold the jewelry. I moved into the shack permanently. I renovated it, of course. I am not a masochist. It has heated floors now, and a chef's kitchen, and high-speed satellite internet that I coded the compression algorithm for myself. But I kept the basement. I go down there every morning with my coffee. I sit in Arthur's chair. I talk to him. We did it, old man, I say. The Ghost and the Queen. Stone Tech, now Phoenix Systems, is thriving. The young CEO, a girl named Maya, who reminds me of myself at 20, calls me once a month for advice. I give it to her, usually cryptic and grumpy, just like Arthur would have. I kept the money I drained from Marcus and Jessica's accounts. I didn't keep it for myself. I started a scholarship fund for women in computer science. Every year, 50 girls get a full ride to MIT, Stanford, Caltech. They call them Stone Scholars. Sometimes, when the wind howls off the lake, and the servers hum in the basement, I feel lonely. The victory didn't bring Arthur back. It didn't give me back the years I lost to the fog of their poison. But then I look at the monitor. I look at the code scrolling by, the heartbeat of the digital world Arthur and I built. I type in a command. Status report. The screen flashes green. System optimal. Threats eliminated. Queen of Code, online. I smile. Hello, world, I whisper. And the world listens.